Hello.
Hi.
Happy
Hello.
Thursday, everybody. Welcome to 5 for 5 Live, because I feel like I never actually say the name anymore. So welcome.
Yes.
So first of all, welcome to everyone that's here in the live chat. I see y'all. I see being right on time when we were a little behind, but that's okay. Behind the beauty was worth it. And
Yes.
for anyone watching on replay, there is a live chat part of the stream, and depending on how far after this has been replayed, it's usually back up and available on YouTube. And there's a little button that says live chat. You just click it and it'll open it up. And if you want to, if you're already watching, you might as well go ahead and like the stream. Feel free to tweet it out or share it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. I don't really care. And welcome. I see so many familiar faces and probably so many people that are still a little shy. I see Gabby and Lisa and Courtney and Olivia and
Avria.
Isabel and Averia. I never actually quite know.
I
Sorry.
think I swear she's played it for me, and she sent me. She actually was kind enough to
Oh,
send
okay.
me,
So
and
Averia. Okay. And then Legally Black Beauty and Katie, Emily Original, so many regulars. Welcome, Cherry Bombshell, a new name for me, but welcome. And
Xavier.
Xavier, hello. So tonight we decided to we were heavily inspired by D'Angelo Wallace. He put out three amazing videos. I'm calling them documentaries, like actual documentaries. I don't know if
Yeah,
everyone
that's true.
agrees, but
I would agree with that.
and he released the last one last week, I believe. And the three videos are about Jebediah Snorkelfish, Shane Dolphin, and Tati. I don't have a special name for her right now. So we thought we would look back on what people are calling Karmageddon and just kind of look at the situation, look at it in framing of like hindsight and the feeling like knowing better or knowing what we know now. And we'll probably dive into also just like how YouTube as a whole has been affecting ourselves and how drama and all of that, like just kind of analyzing that. So that's a little bit of an overview. I have D'Angelo's video linked in the description box too, if you happen to be unfamiliar with him.
I just wanted to answer this right quick for
Oh,
Legally Black Beauty. It is the Divina eyeshadows, and then I used some Juvia's Place in the crease and outer V area. So
love
I'm
it.
loving these Divina shadows.
And you've got the Galaxy Dust collection, right? So
Yes,
we know it comes from that.
the
Uh,
Galaxy Dust Shifter.
yes.
So sorry.
No, it's all good. Yes, exactly. These are documentaries, not the creep who doesn't shower and it's nonsense. Oh, that's true. D'Angelo just turned 22.
I
That's
know.
amazing.
He's accomplishing things, and here I am.
He also went to college at 15. So,
That didn't make me feel any better. That actually made it
no,
worse.
no. Exactly. I feel so underachieving. It's just like, oh, that's what this person has accomplished. And me at 22, well, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, at 22, like I was still learning about
I do agree with
parent and
Thor.
Chaco action.
I agree with Thor. And you don't have to be successful by 22. That's absolutely some bullshit. I was also opening a can of soda in case anybody was curious what that noise was. But that's absolutely bullshit. But at the same time, oh,
Kitty cat. Kitty cat in action. Yeah.
this though.
Yes, Tati Westboro Baptist Church. That's true.
Oh, sorry, I will be right back.
Like, I was not interested, and I didn't even really want to go to college. Like, I like to learn, but I don't like the learning environment that they have us in. Yes, big brain energy. Yes. Mia does have big brain energy. And it kind of hurts my feelings.
Yes, Mia is highly intelligent, which
Like I was telling her, I was like, get out of my head, ma'am. And then she like responded with something that was so smart and fun and funny on Twitter, and I was like, oh. She's like, been there, took the tour. It was colorful, and I was like, oh my
That
god.
is amazing. So yeah, so I don't know. Get off my lawn. I like that. Welcome, Sharon. And Sharon's always so good at welcoming everybody in a live chat. So I just have to make sure I say hi.
I hope you're
So,
enjoying the salts and the scrubs and the cake batter.
ooh, that sounds fun. So I just also your lipstick getting compliments. Mm.
Thank you.
So I don't know. How do we want to start this? Do you have any thoughts on where to begin?
Well, what I think is interesting is like how we got to the point where three basically feature full length videos needed to be made on these three people. And where I think about it and how I think about it is that like these are the three people who've been dominating the beauty community for a while, regardless of other people coming up and all of that. Like somehow these three people dominate not even just the beauty community, but the YouTube community, where even if you don't watch their content, you know who they are.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who pays attention to YouTube, like you know who those people are, whether you care about them or not, you know, because they're going to be on the trending page. They're going to show up in your subscription feed, whether you want them to or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just so interesting how over the past, like 4 years, it's been the same. Number one, Jebediah Snorkelfish, Jalopity Staircase is center in every single one of these like big beauty dramas that really just make a lot of people think that the beauty community is this nasty mess. And it's very frustrating for all of us here to have to be like, no. Those are the rich kids.
Those are the rich kids, those are the bullies, those are the cool kids, like all of the things that we can use as comparison from our high school, middle school experience, like that's who those people are.
Yes.
And I do think it's interesting how we kind of talked about this with like we did a stream about like celebrities and celebrity culture and why we tend to not like celebrity collabs. And we were talking about how celebrities made this big statement about like get out of our lives, get out of our business. And it was more focused on paparazzi, but a lot of us were like, oh, I hear you. Okay, bye. And at the same time, like streaming was becoming a thing, whether it's Netflix, Hulu, just like illegally streaming. And YouTube also became a bigger thing. So I feel like there was this like when streaming became a thing and celebrities were saying get out of our spaces, there was like a power gap. There was a power vacuum. And then YouTubers were like, oh, I'm just going to walk in and take this.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know why I have Jalopity Staircase in my head, but I do now. But all of the names.
I just said
it. He walked in. He was around for a long time. Thanks, MySpace. Appreciate that. And I feel like he saw that and just jumped right in. And so I kind of feel like drama channels and then social media kind of took over paparazzi, e-network, and tabloids. Like I feel like the area's changed, but the kind of approach is the same in terms of like talking about people, digging into their business, whether it's public or not, and then how some people are going to take advantage of that and use it to promote themselves, and other people are still going to be like, no, get out of my space.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
And it's almost like, I mean, if I'm a paparazzo, I'm more likely to go for a YouTube personality because of the fact that they're going to be accessible. Like inherently, a large amount of people on YouTube are not upset in any way. What do you have, sir? Are not upset in any way about being in the public eye because we're deliberately doing this in a way that like you can say that all you want about actors, but like you don't know whether or not your first movie or your second movie or your third, you have no idea which one of those movies it's going to be like the movie that's, because I don't think people even understand how filming works, but I'm not going to get into that detail. But like, you could have made 3 movies and then they all release at different times. You don't know if any of those are going to hit. So there's like a period of time where you're just like wandering around, you're enjoying your life, and then when it changes, you're like, ugh. But we, for all intents and purposes, have been like, here we are, here's my life, look at my house, look at this, look at my kitchen. Like, all intents and purposes, we're deliberately inviting people into our homes. Bo, what the fuck do you have? I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Bo is always up to some shit. I do think that is the interesting thing with YouTube is I think especially a lot of us are like, oh, I don't really like talking about myself, but I think the reality is that we actually, in some ways, we all do, because we wouldn't have started doing this thing if we didn't. But it's just that different people approach it in a different way. Some of us are showing off our house, showing off our, our boyfriend, our girlfriend, our kids, our pets, our this, our that. And I feel like those are the people that are like, oh, you want to know about me? I will tell you everything. And
then there's creepy old bitches like me who are like, I mean, I'm going to tell you a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to show you like every little, like my, like who I'm dating. That's not going to be a thing. Yeah. And this isn't going to be a thing. That's not going to be like, yes, he does. But
well,
like,
it doesn't surprise me.
No, go ahead.
Like weird things. But yeah, so it's like we have this culture that kind of shifted from TV and movie to the internet, and more specifically YouTube, because it's where all these videos are hosted. And so now it's like, okay, but how does it go from that to actually, it's like seeing a person who was probably already a monster kind of create their monster persona. And like it's literally like a villain from a soap opera or a telenovela. Like that's what I think about when it comes to Jebediah.
And so like when you watch the first installment that D'Angelo put out, you can clearly almost see, like, you can, to me, this is me, I could clearly see that Jeffree saw an opportunity. He stepped in and he really did play up that villain status. Like, he had that status on MySpace. And then he just like brought it over to YouTube, started being more successful with his cosmetics company. And he just brought that like dynasty energy over to where it's like, stop, like slapping and all of that. And we would see it. And I think that at first it was funny. Do you know what I mean? Especially because he was younger. At first it was kind of funny. It was interesting. Yeah. And it was like, woe be a child, like anybody who crosses Jeffree Star. But then as D'Angelo really started to point out, it really started to be like, don't cross him.
Yeah.
Like, it really gets, it was like, do not cross him or he will, like anything that you have told him in private or done in private is now fair game for destruction.
Exactly. Like he joked about it, but he also like kind of like lived it up, like soaked in it. And it was like, I have tea on everybody. And hello, welcome, Mindy. And I think there's also this weird thing, and I'm not saying it's right, but I think because when YouTube began to where we are now as we're not all there, but a lot of us are more open and understanding of like different gender presentations, androgyny, and all these different things that like he's played with. But I feel like when YouTube kind of started and when he was on MySpace, I feel like there was more of this like open jaw, like gaping at him, like what kind of like, and I'm not saying don't use this term, but what kind of creature is this person? Like who is he? Is he she? But like just in the weird like way that we generally speaking kind of stared and looked at anyone that was not like falling in the mainstream perception of what a man or a woman is. And we still have a long way to go, but I think that and that gave him the energy and attention that he wanted, because he's very much like, fuck you, like I'm whatever I want to be. And I think that gave him that fed into all of that, like that plus his success. I don't know why I'm saying in quotes, but I feel like success is questionable. But I guess his riches that has started coming from the makeup line and everything else, I feel like started building that or like enabling the monster.
Yeah, and it's I think a lot of people, their first Jeffree Star was their first interaction with an androgynous person. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like that, it was not mine because I went to USC, and I am not proud of this behavior, and I really wish I could find this person so that I could go and be like, I am so sorry. I followed you around the store every time I saw you in the store. But I was dumbfounded by how amazing they were. Like they had amazing makeup and hair. They're
Mm-hmm.
so tall, wore really big shoes. And so I'd always just be like it was, I was so creepy. I would just be like sneaking around, like I don't think I was doing a good job of following them, but I just
Oh,
was so
sneaking.
fascinated. Yeah, well, one, I'm not a very good sneaky person. Number one. Number two, it's like I'm trying to like I'm not even good at furtively looking because I'm there going. So I can understand the fascination with being a misfit and also seeing someone who's androgynous and a misfit and not really, taking supposedly taking any shit from anybody.
Yeah,
They're just up
that too.
there doing their thing. And then it gave a lot of people, it made them feel empowered to be exactly who they wanted to be too, and to start telling their parents. That a lot of people came out to their parents because of that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of positive to even his negative behavior,
Yeah.
but
Well,
go
even
ahead.
even what Alex is saying here, Alex's father-in-law started watching J Star to understand me because I like makeup and am gay. We have since had a conversation and he knows better now. But it is very true that if you have somebody in your life and you're like, I don't understand them, or I can't even begin to wrap my head around who they are, that you're like, oh well, this person does similar things, not realizing that no, they're not at all similar, but that's what happens. It's like when you're the only gay friend and they're like, I know someone gay, let me set you up with them, and you're like, you don't even know if I like that person. But I think he became this icon and this example, but then that turned into like all of that attention is now he weaponizes it.
Yeah.
Like the way he attacks his own fans, his own customers, I'm still trying to figure out like where does that come from?
Yeah, that's the weird part. Like, I don't understand that behavior, especially considering how much he needs them moving forward. Because when you look at the D'Angelo Wallace Jeffree Star portion of this,
Yeah.
you do see like one, the next thing that really started to hit me was like the amount of lying. So it's like not only are you snapping back at your very own fans and customers, because they're not always the same thing, right? Customers aren't necessarily his fans. Some of them
Yeah.
are just customers. But like it's almost like he got stuck in MySpace. Like he just, that's what I feel like. It's almost like he got actually stuck in MySpace and can't get out of that like behavior that you had on MySpace where you were like, you're no longer in my top 8, like and it just feels very high school for him to like
Yeah.
still be behaving like this. And it's almost like he's trying to keep up this persona for like the younger crowd, and it's not working out for him. And I don't know. I feel like when he lashes out like that, it's because it's almost like you can see that he's gotten too old for all of this shit, in the sense of like he doesn't want to play this game.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that sometimes wonders like, who are you really underneath all of this bullshit? Because it's just watching that was so fascinating, especially with all the lying. And it's just like, what do you tell the truth about ever?
Yeah. And I think Xavier has a really good point. Jeffrey knows his privilege and power in our society as a white man, and he leverages it every given moment. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the thing that I'm not saying it's difficult now. Like I'm very clearly not supporting him, not shopping from him, not like even trying to not shop from a place like Beautylish that's carrying him and been very clear that they're carrying him because of money. But then again, they're a business. But anyway,
Yeah.
I see how people can continue to see him almost as a victim because I see his behavior and I'm thinking, okay, he probably, I'm making an assumption, might have a history of like people that were good to him or said that they loved him or liked them, like then abandoning them. So he's thinking, like, fuck it, anything good, I'm just gonna burn it down so that they can't do that to me. I'm gonna be the one that leaves. I'm gonna be one that alienates this person so they can't do it to me. So that like bit of like, I can understand maybe where it comes from. I don't like thinking about that anymore because I'm like, you've turned this whole thing into such a big power trip that I don't want to give you the attention. Like he's a person, but just barely in my brain, I guess is how I think about it.
And I don't know if you'll have this, but this is if he were a restaurant, he would be like Dick's Last Resort. So I don't know if you'll have this restaurant, but this restaurant, you pay to go into this restaurant and have everyone be rude to you. For some reason, people think that that's fun. I don't. I don't enjoy that kind of a dining experience. I don't know why people like that so much. But it's like like if he were a restaurant, he's Dick's Last Resort. You paid to have this person treat you like shit, and then you're mad when they go too far. So it's like the people who keep following him, I feel like that's who they are. And then in watching this, I don't know if you want to get into all of the lies that D'Angelo like really just started unraveling, and we're just sitting there like flabbergasted.
Like, okay, first I wanted to just quickly say thumbs downing is still interaction.
Correct.
I don't click, I don't do anything. That's my take on it. Also, hey Josh, welcome. So
hi, baby.
I think the one lie that just to go straight to it, the one lie that D'Angelo said that like what made me go, what the fuck? Why did I not see that? Was the robbery.
Yes.
And the fact that there was police proof of other break-ins, the ABH break-in and other cosmetics break-ins, there was nothing for Jeffree. Not a thing. Not a one report.
Yeah. And like he tried to say, and it makes you wonder because it's like when you go back to even the what was it, the previous leak? Didn't he have one before that? And then then the break-in?
I'm sure he had a leak. Like you mean like his product putting out?
Yes, I feel like the summer before, like I think his concealer.
No, the concealer was the robbery.
Was it this one? And was like the same one with the Facebook lady and all of that stuff?
Yeah, that was all. That was all.
My brain just like kept separating everything. Yeah. And I watched it again today. That's so sad. But
I did too. I didn't get to toss Tati, but I watched the other two today again. So yeah, that was all together. So basically, he claimed that he was broken into, that they stole a flat of one color of his concealer with 30 colors, blah, blah, blah. And that they found this lady on Facebook trying to resell things.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. I didn't care enough to check. He was saying the robbery.
Yeah, neither did I.
He said exactly what I thought at the time. I'd honestly assumed lots of people had wondered about it, but I didn't care enough to check. I was not going to go internet research him, to be honest. And it's just, there was so much attention to the situation. And I think it was around the same time that like one or two of his dogs passed away. Yeah. So there was just all this like sympathy being poured out to him. And I'm like, realistically, you're a business. Shit like this happens. You have insurance. If you don't, I know you have people smart enough in your business that you have insurance. Like, you made this huge deal out of what? For what?
Bye, Sharon. I hope to see you later. Well, I think what's weird to me about this whole thing, about the robbery, is how easily we all just bought it, no proof. And I think what's very frustrating about that is how much all drama channels usually regularly go hunt down receipts.
Yeah.
Right? He is that person, and this is another thing that D'Angelo brought up. He is that person where he just says something and we just believe it. Like the drama channel, like everybody just sits there going, Guess he's right. Had anybody even gone and got a police report, like we really would have found out like nothing has happened. And so
Yeah.
we all just assumed that he did get robbed. I mean, I thought the whole thing was fishy when it started, like the whole Facebook thing, because I was like, well, nobody's been arrested. What's happening here? And it's like, no, nobody was arrested. In that whole mess, like, no one was arrested. And that seemed weird as fuck.
Well, and also he has these huge warehouses, these protected spaces. So they were smart enough to they were stealthy and smart enough to get into that space to steal the shit. But then they're gonna sell it to some idiot that goes and puts it on Facebook.
Yeah, they're just
Like,
gonna give it to like Marsha on Facebook.
like they're just gonna give it out to their friends and be like, go sell it however you want. Like,
Yeah, that's not a stealthy operation. Because the point of doing that would be to have like this if I were a thief of that sort, the point of doing that is that I would already have the shit in stock ready to sell. So like as soon as it went on sale, I would have a bunch of stock, and as soon as it like went out of stock for Jeffree Star, I would have it on my side being like, yo, I got it over here. Psst, psst. It's like 3 times more expensive. Like that's the point of that. You know what I mean? It's like just people who scout tickets and all of that. The point of them buying up as many tickets as they possibly can is to just turn right around and sell them for profit. So it doesn't make sense for them to buy as many tickets as they can, even if they manage to get some kind of pre-sale, and then just turn around like the very day, like the next day, be like, anybody want? Like what?
yeah.
Like it doesn't. Why would you sell your tickets at that point? Like because they're not lucrative right now. They're going to be lucrative when they're sold out. So it doesn't make sense that like the whole thing doesn't make sense, and it really just made me sit there and start thinking about it because I was like, yeah, D'Angelo, I didn't want to think, and now I'm thinking.
Well,
like,
it's just like, and I think that repeated pattern of the fact that he can say whatever, and he has the drama channels either actually in his pocket, or they're brainwashed enough to think, hey, if I don't report too hard on this guy, over time he'll have to like come to me and then I'll make money that way. Like he's so far brainwashed, the drama channels, that they didn't even look into it and didn't even try to find any proof or anything like that. And I think that it was weird like, yeah, I would think if you were gonna steal concealer, you could steal like some of each range and then as a store completely sell it and be like, yeah, I have Jeffree Star concealers. Like
but they
you're
stole an entire palette of the same shade.
yeah.
What the fuck for? Like that's suspicious.
Yeah.
That is
Hey,
suspicious. Fuck.
welcome, Alex.
Hi,
But
Alex.
yeah. Um.
So we
Oh,
did end
I hope
up.
you're okay, Thorn. Uh.
I hope
Yeah.
it's not the storm, Thorn.
Oh, it's been so stormy lately.
Yeah, I just saw like a flash, so I'm just I'm like, yeah. And here's the thing: as some of you may know, I've worked in warehouses before. Um, I just want to tell you that majority of warehouses are a 24/7 operation.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. If they came through the roof, they would have to have a shit ton of tools and all, like to get an entire pallet out. Because if they got it out through the roof, like they came in through the roof and they left through the roof, or did they come in through the roof and then like go through the front? That's stupid. Why wouldn't you
Yeah.
just like even come the same way? So the point is, if you came in through the roof and tried to leave, it's a long way down. Most warehouses have a fairly high ceiling for
Yeah.
various reasons, especially because a lot of them aren't air conditioned. So they have big fans and all that stuff. So you don't want that stuff really close to the workers in case it falls. Like there's all this shit. So
Yeah.
there's a large distance between like you, the person on the ground, and up to the ceiling. It just, even if it's not 24, like they have security. So where did these, like, what kind of weird cat burglars were like, I want one shade of a concealer and we're going in all in for that. Like we never found anybody. There were no fingerprints, there was no nothing. And then that just made like that particular detail from D'Angelo really just
Yeah.
opens up your eyes to, like, everything he lies about. Everything.
Mm,
Like
I
his
just
mother slash aunt slash mother slash aunt.
I'd say this is a really good comment from it's me Hunter. My own theory is that it was right around the lipstick gate thing. We learned from Marlena that he may have used the same factory
Mm-hmm.
for so maybe it was cover up for insurance or like just to cover up the fact that he could have used the same factory as those hairy lipsticks. But I think yeah, the fact that it was like okay, his he lies about his grandma, if she exists or her age, his mother, his like you said, his aunt. Like I honestly don't think there is one thing that he hasn't lied about. Like
Yeah.
I don't trust anything that comes out of his mouth. And what it makes me think of is how so like okay, if lipstick gate happened and he had lipsticks that were bad, because I did see reports here and there about like some of his
Mm-hmm.
bullet lipsticks that's the other thing that's happened over and over where like something happens to Prada and he just he's like there was hair or whatever in the conspiracy palette. He's like,
Yes.
oh, there was a pressing thing and we fixed it. And then like the thing that's been happening with the orgy palette, like being such shit quality or whatever. It's like I don't trust
Yeah.
anything he says when he's like, oh, it was just this and now we fixed it. Like he just gets away with everything.
Yeah, because what's interesting about how many times he has had issues with the product, and he manages to slide away from it every time. He's just like, eh, doesn't even really give a good explanation, but like, not to like let Jacqueline Hill off the hook or anything, but I'm just saying she had shit going on and the whole entire world. Like this hit the like regular news. Like her shit hit the regular
Yeah.
news about how it like blew up. But yet here he is, release after release. I feel like it. I know that there was one like something going on with blood sugar. I feel like at some time too. I just feel like there was like
Mm.
something a little bit with each one.
Well,
And
I remember like his very first highlighters, not when they got released, but like down the road, people would talk about how they would get like really bad hard pan like almost instantly. So like,
mhm,
which basically means you can't pick up product, and a lot of times to get the product to work again, you have to like cover it in like scotch tape and basically lift off that whole top layer. This
mhm,
wasn't things people wanted to admit when they were first released. It was only like when he had a new formula that came out would people um would like admit, oh, this whole lie, this whole thing that he has built up about never drinking alcohol, when there's video evidence, excuse me, particularly during his MySpace days, of like slamming bottles of what looks like Jack Daniels. And I'm like, you've
and
never
it's
had a sip?
weird. It's a weird. Here's the thing that I like that D'Angelo pointed out. I think like, why would you lie about something so small as drinking?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like, it's such a weird thing to lie about. Like, I've never had a drink. I've never. I'm like, you regularly admit to smoking the ganja, but it's like, why does it matter whether or not you drank or drink? It's just, it's a weird thing that kind of got brought up, and yeah, and Jeffrey, yeah, I mean, he does want to be talked about, and we do indulge him. But there's also a level of trying to understand what the fuck
Yeah.
is happening. Like it's
Be-
weird. It's a
because
weird thing to find such a odd human being who just lies all the time and is mean and nasty. And I think as human beings, most of us who are like generally good people are struggling to try to understand someone like this.
yeah. And
Like,
here's the thing is that when I'm going to hopefully say whenever the tide changes and he has to do kind of like a KVD and retreat into just like living his life but not on the internet, if when that ever happens, he has set a model for other assholes to embrace.
mhm.
So the thing is, oh, we clicked the same thing. Or no, or was it this that you want?
Yeah, because I'm a nerd, so I like that. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's just like he is setting up this model for other people to follow. And there's not going to be a lot of people that will be successful at it, but there's going to be people. They're going to be the Jeffree Star Juniors. And so if we kind of understand, or I don't know, if we can understand it just a little bit, it's a way to like stop that shit when it starts, rather
Yeah.
than letting somebody, inhabit their full self as a monster, as a terrible person, as a money hungry person who's like, manipulating your own fan base. Like, not saying we can stop that all of the time, but for example, our orange, not my president, the orange person in charge, a lot of us saw that shit. Nobody stopped it.
Yeah. So
A
it's
lot
like
of
if
us
you could
saw
just
that shit
stop
a
it before
decade
it
ago.
started. And I wanted to address this.
Yes.
You'll
Oh
be
yeah.
believed that was a contract. Was allegedly.
Oh, I
Allegedly.
agreed with this
That was a
alleged
contract
concept that it
relationship.
was a 5-year contract,
It was
allegedly.
a 5-year contract. Allegedly. And that there will never be a tell-all book. NDAs and all kinds of things were signed. That's just not allegedly is what happens. Allegedly, allegedly.
Unless Jebediah loses all of his money
Yeah.
somehow, which means he loses all of his power to sue. I don't think there will ever be a book.
Yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
this Feffy. The glorification of the asshole in both media and celebrity internet culture is so scary.
but I think that we're seeing a flip side of this. Allegedly, Eddie. I do think that we are starting to see a bit of a flip side because, we're seeing with this palette that he released, this is like the second one I feel like that hasn't sold out in seconds
Yeah.
in a row. So I think that realistically, people are beginning to speak, and people are beginning to admit that the quality isn't so great. It's just okay. It's not fantastic. It's not like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
People are beginning to see it, the makeup for what it actually is. And then on top of that, I feel like he's run out of some ideas. So it just seems very like he is trying to sell everything on shock value, but we're moving into 2020 and like shock value is so 2009. So,
Well, and I think it's just like, I think for somebody like that, his smartest move would be to sell the company, like, and just step back and he can continue to do everything he's doing,
mm,
but just not do it publicly. Because
yeah,
I can tell he's had the right people in his life, business wise, to give him the advice that he needs to not worry about his money ever again. I can just
correct.
tell from the way he talks about things. But yeah, I think and this goes into the next topic. I think the Dane Shawson thing, I think that was the moment.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was the moment when it was like, you have so much power and access and all of this to make both a video series that could have maybe actually been decent and a collection that could have been amazing. And I feel like it was like too much sugar, and it like did really well, and then it kind of crashed because then
It did.
everything with shame came out. um or it didn't come out maybe immediately, but we started seeing the inner workings, and that started to unravel, and then it turned into this, where it like fucking fully unraveled a year later
So then
or
that
six
brings
months
us to the
later.
Shane Dawson portion
Yes.
of of the of D'Angelo's series, which is like I was so happy that he actually pointed this out. Was just like these aren't documentaries, and they weren't. They were
Yeah.
never documentaries. It always still boggles my mind the amount of people who would consider them documentaries because I was like, this isn't a documentary. This is a puff piece.
Yeah.
Like
It's a vlog.
like
It's a vlog.
yeah,
It's a vlog.
yeah.
Like,
Because like a documentary, is not like if you were really like the one for Tana. I'm not racist, but I use the N word at all times and screaming at people, and I promise I'm going to apologize and put up a video. Monjo, whoever cares about her name, Mongoose for all I
It
care.
doesn't matter.
So,
We know her as Hannah. We don't even need to bother with her fucking stupid last name.
but she like he didn't take her to task at all, and I remember I watched that because I was like, I got invested in the drama of TanaCon. The way that he was basically just like, oh, poor Tana. Like, and you could clearly see that that little creepy, skeevy dude, Michael, like, while he was creepy and skeevy, like, she co signed that shit and it wasn't called Michael Con or whatever his name was. So, like, y'all are killing me in the comments. So I look over, they got all these different.
I just like, oh, wait, Mogo, Mongoose, Moo Guy. But yeah,
But you
like,
saw that creepy dude, and you're like, and if it were a documentary, a true documentary, there really would have been more hard hitting. Like, yeah, by the way, this was your event. You hired this guy. Like, now, right now, you're sitting here trying to say, like, I knew I should have listened to people, and he's like, okay, but you didn't, and you still hired dude, and then this still happened, and it still sucks. So, what are you planning to do to fix it?
oh, this still does make me upset that Jeffree distanced himself enough where Shane was the only person that really went down in that equation. I think there are still things that could be Jebediah's undoing, but the way, I mean, yeah, he went silent. Here's the thing: is I didn't watch a lot of his vlogs. I'm trying to think of who
The
I
first time I
watched
ever saw
3 of
anything from
them.
him was that. This was Tana Mojo. That's
So
it.
I
I
had
fixed it.
seen him. There we go. So I had seen him. Oh my god! Speaking of another terrible people, the Fine Brothers. They had the whole the React series years ago, and I saw him here and there on that, and I was like, okay, he literally seems like a creepy, like just like a generic creepy white dude on the internet, honestly. And I
Yeah.
was seeing a lot of his, like I saw like bits and bobs, like the blackface and all of this, and I was just like, I'm good. And then I
Yeah.
heard everyone talking about these series he was doing, and I was like, am I gonna watch a long form on Tana, on the Paul brothers? On no, get the fuck out of my space. But I was unfortunately curious about the beauty one because you know what? No, what it was, I think he did one where it was like revealing Jeffree, and this was before the beauty
Yes,
series.
there was the one before the beauty series.
And I watched that, and then for some reason I thought, it was okay. This is one of the few times I've hate watched. I hate watched the Shane and Jeffree series. I did. I didn't. I think I watched like 10 minutes of the last episode, or no, maybe I didn't watch the first episode, but I did basically watch the series, and I was like, all he's doing is protecting his friends. Every one
Yeah.
of these videos, because I heard about the Tana one when it came out. It's like all he's doing is picking his friends to do these videos on, and basically boosting their social status when they're down. Like how is he documenting anything? And
Sorry, I'm
the
like,
whole series, I was like, you're not even revealing anything about the industry with the series.
yeah, it just it. And I was, and here's the thing: I didn't even know about his super duper extra creepy past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, was I taken aback by all of that when D'Angelo really started going into the we're gonna call it we're gonna call it ambrosia because that shit is nasty. So when he started going into
Fair.
all of Shane's ambrosia with the animals, like I was like, no, what? And then when you just start like adding up, and again, I'm not gonna say that he is or isn't something, but I am gonna say it doesn't look good. It doesn't look
Well,
good.
between the ambrosia of the animals, the puppets, and the young fans, But at the same time,
right? You get like flabbergasted.
at the same time, I agree with Tati here. The fact that it came out just now, considering people were calling that shit out while it was happening. He was making videos on the internet.
But you know what I think though? Like, I just feel very confident that the people at the time who were calling it out weren't large enough to take down, like, oh, look at me, I'm so
Or they were
amazed.
black people. They were, because I know Francesca Ramsey called that shit out, and so
That's
it's like
true.
nobody's listening.
Nobody listens to black people.
Yeah, no. And it's just, oh, Shane. Yeah, I feel like I probably saw a thumbnail here or there. Maybe I didn't, because I don't even know if I was on YouTube. And I was probably more on YouTube starting, I'm thinking like 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
But we called him Dane Shane. Shane is shame, or Dane, or any other name that we feel like is just.
Oh my god, I'm fucking dead. I can't breathe.
This, okay. Him being calling himself an empath was the biggest fuck you. Like, every time he would say that, I'm like, where?
Well, here's the problem with YouTube and the internet in general. It's very difficult to do because the internet in general fights back against this, and with good reason. Having regulations in a lot of YouTube and internet spheres definitely means that the government then gets to regulate how the content is monitored, which is how we got to cable TV in the first place, where you couldn't really break up the channels, you couldn't do this, and now you can't say this or that, and you have to rate your like all of that. So YouTube is doing the bare minimum,
Yeah,
on that. But yeah, he came out being empath, and
well,
I
also,
just never even saw this weirdo. Like, I
no.
never saw him.
But D'Angelo did point out to me how much he did focus, and he talked about how he was making content for kids. He
Yes.
wasn't an adult on the internet making fucked up shit for adults. He was saying it repeatedly over and over again that he's making things for kids. That's something I didn't realize
Or
until
is
really
keeping the
watching.
family mentality, like the mom was there. Oh, the
That's
mom
like
was
some of the
helping
things
with
that I had
the
heard about Davi Vanity, and
yeah, the mom was helping with the child ambrosia.
he's saying empath because he's trying to frame himself as the nice guy, as
So
Deja
caring.
said.
I have your
He
feelings. I know.
he's literally like the whole, like, okay, I mean, and D'Angelo didn't necessarily talk about this in his video, but part of like I could see right through so much of Dane. Dane, wow, I said I called him that like I didn't even think about it, but him sitting there in his unwashed clothes, obviously making choices about what he's going to wear or not wear, talking about how he hates his body, how he's so poor,
Oh my
like
god.
all of that. I was like, and then he would drop the word impact. And I'm like, the fact that people, like, not even thinking about all the other, not necessarily knowing about or thinking about all of the fucked up shit he's done, that part of him that I was seeing in the Jeffree documentary, the series, I was like, how the fuck are people believing this? How
But
are
he
they
just sits there with
listening to
his Cheeto fingers, like, and it's like this thing where it's like, just because you're wearing a shirt with holes in it that I'm beginning to feel like you cut into them, and like don't bathe, or maybe you're just throwing dirt on yourself. Like, that doesn't mean that you're an empath. Like, a lot of us actually enjoy being clean, but that's neither here nor there. But it's like he would just have his Cheeto fingers and be like, oh, and just like, oh, Tina, I'm so bad. Sorry, you're going through. And it was really like, if you go back and watch any of those, they're not even, if you pay attention to them close enough, they're not even about the people that he's doing it. It's about him. Like, if you pay attention long enough, you realize that, like, they're all focused on him being a good person, helping his shitty friends. They're not in any way focused on if you go back and watch the Tana one. This is why I didn't get as caught up as I could, because I went back and started like looking at the Tana one.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at that and see how much time the camera spends on Shane, his reactions, him talking to him, consoling. If you watch how much of it is like actually focused on him and not his subject, like
Yeah. And I just, I mean, and all of it just like makes me feel gross. But Gabby's asking, are any of his friends still friends with him? I'm sure they are, because trash attracts trash. And
that's
because
true.
people that are friends with this kind of person who and have experienced the money, the power, the fame, all of this, are going to say, oh, but you know, that was Shane 5-10 years ago. He was so different. Like, he's not a creepy pervert anymore. Like, I just, I don't trust, even if they're not publicly associating with him, I don't trust that they're not behind the scenes spending time together. So,
And I think the thing is the depths and dirt and disgust of the ambrosia with the animals and with the kids, and then also including his mother. It just, um, it's very like Black Mirror.
it's really disturbing that he's sitting there doing all this content for kids,
Yes.
portraying himself, like doing all of that. And then I think seeing all of it and having D'Angelo actually put it all in the video, because I had seen some, I had seen some like drama videos, some videos about the Shane situation, and so there were some of those things I had seen, but I had not seen all of them, or heard all of them, and then I did, and then so the fact is that the fact that he did this so blatantly for years and then came back and was able to model himself as the empath of YouTube, the person that wants to help YouTubers out, and did it successfully.
Mm-hmm.
It like and then also try to portray himself as just this soft person, like I said, who just wants to help people. And like, I feel like there's a lot of like, I don't know better. And I'm like, you are the level that I think of Jeffree, I think of Shane, in terms
Yeah.
of how they use their power and their access to do harm. Like, they are
And,
not different in terms of, and I would say in
mm,
some ways he's much worse
yeah.
because he was covert about it.
But then again, we have the other Dobby Vanity thing. Not a creepy
Like, and he's like
person.
come back from like the dark hole of the internet, and that's not who he is anymore. I don't care if that was 5 years ago. Get the fuck off the internet. I don't want to see your face ever again.
But did you listen to that part? Like, I'm sure you did, but you know the part in the video where he's playing that interview where he's talking about how the girl is sexy. What was she, like 6?
The girl that was like the Twitter, like she started the conversation talking about like how many followers do you have on Twitter, and he literally calls this girl a skinny, sexy 6-year-old. Yeah, and it's not, even if it was in a tone of joking, of jest, fuck off with that. That's not a joke. Like, that's disgusting.
I'm sorry, my face got stuck in that position for a second
Yeah.
because I was just I. And here's the thing, it's both of them suffer from I'm not that guy isms. I'm not that person anymore ism. And here's the thing. I understand that when, like, for me, for instance, I say that in regards to my anger. I have Emily has been privy to it. I have some pretty extreme anger. I work against it now and do things to protect not just myself, but the other people who might encounter my anger. So when I say I'm not that person anymore, I mean that. I mean, like, this is the person that I'm working. I work to be this. This is me. I'm not distancing myself. I'm saying how I behaved before. But these people legitimately do horrifying things, and they never stop doing it. They don't change, and they're just like, "That's not the like." How many times does Jeffree have to apologize? And every time he goes, "That's not the person I want to be. I don't want to be involved in drama." And then, like, as soon as his shit is about to sell, like he's about to drop a new product, he's just like,
He surrounded himself with drama. Like,
"Yes,
and the thing is that vocabulary, that like this older Shane, this older Jeffree, like that's what Shane employed for his apology. And I saw that. I was like, you and Jeffree are not that much different. And maybe Jeffree helped you get to this point, or or maybe you were already there. But like he really fell into that like manipulative language. Exactly. A Twilight phase is one thing.
yes." Like you can say that when you're not actually trying, because what they're trying to do is actually separate not just the behavior, but who they actually are. They're trying to separate the real nastiness of what they do. So, like, Shane's trying to act like, I don't see any world where that's a funny joke. Like,
No.
none at all. So he's trying to like make this two people. There's the Shane you see now, who is poor, doesn't shower, and eats a lot of Cheetos. I don't know if he actually eats Cheetos, but his fingers always look fucking greasy and orange.
Cheetos
to me,
or
so I call him Cheeto
Doritos or
fingers.
something. That's fine.
And so, like, and I think he would eat Cheetos and Doritos to like relate to us poor people down here. Like, look at me, I'm eating.
This is fair. This is fair. Alex, I'm not the girl anymore. Me after realizing I'm non-binary.
Thank you.
There are times and places where you can say, I'm not that person anymore, and it's a very valid way to talk about it. But
yes, it works in real life with like real things that you've actually changed. But when you're trying to create, which is what these guys have done, they have tried to create two separate people. Where like Shane basically tries to say, this person that was over here at this time, that's not who I am. You know me. And it's like, but do we? Because we just saw you wig the fuck out on Instagram Live, and that
was, if you didn't at least watch that part of D'Angelo's video, because that, I love that D'Angelo picked that moment in time for where Shane ended his career, because I felt like the mask dropped, the like it, and it was there, and I was like,
yes,
you can think Tati is a piece of shit, but you also revealed your whole asshole right there. Like, you opened yourself up and then realized that that we were staring into something we should never stare into, and tried, but
we saw the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Like Wizard of Oz reference.
Exactly. All the things related to the ambrosia topic, those are not normal things.
And I don't know how I end up calling everything some kind of food. Maybe I'm just always hungry. but yeah, but that like it I don't like to use this word because you can be using it incorrectly often, and many people do. But it looked like a psychotic break for a minute. Like it just like like how they show it on movies and TV. There's like a brief moment where it just literally looks like, because you can see him realizing that the jig is up.
And he's like trying to pull I think of like a cassette tape. He's trying to like pull the tape back, like a videotape, like literally like, let me rewind. And it's like, no, we already saw this.
Yes, because like he's like, what are he's like, oh my god, and like as he moves around more, you can just see him realizing like, my nice guy shit is over. People are gonna start looking, and like they did.
And isn't the end of the live is I feel like it was like his fiance being like, turn it off.
Yes.
Like
because he was like, bro, they're seeing us. They're seeing who we really are. We're
and
monsters,
that
and now they know.
also, like, if you think Rylan, that's his name. If you think he's an innocent party in all of this, like, you're fucking demented.
No.
Like, the fact that when I heard him say that, the way he said that, I was like, they're a partner, they're a duo, they're working together. Like,
here's what I'm gonna say: as many documentaries as I watch about serial killers and all this kind of stuff, not to comparing it. Here's what I'm trying to say is the amount of times that, first of all, they hardly ever get to interview the actual spouses because they've changed their names and moved on. But when they interview them and they do get to talk to them, and they're like, you know, the voice box,
the dark,
they knew. Like, they didn't know what they were doing, but they knew some shit was off.
Yeah.
And they were like, ugh. And so like, everybody knows who they, to a degree.
Yeah.
You kind of know who you're married to or who you're with. It's up to you if you want to see it. Like, I started to realize in the last, I don't know, 4 years of my marriage that I was like, I am not with a good person. I'm just not. I'm not with a good person. I think I knew that up front, but I just really wasn't paying attention to all the signs. And then I really started to see it, and I was like, oof. So, like, Rylan knows what he's in for, and he's signed up for it, and he's perfectly fine. Because, like, that's not who, but again, that's not who Shane is, right?
No.
That's what who he portrays. He portrays, like, I'm poor on TV, but, like.
And Rylan may have fell into that, like, trusting that it is a separate person. Like, Rylan may have fell into trusting, like, oh, this older Shane, like, he's come past that. He's, you know, even if he's not a different person, he has worked on himself. But when all of this comes out, like, but this is also an example of the whole thumbnail title, like, hindsight. Hindsight is so telling. So for somebody like Ryland, he might have seen all this and started realizing, like, oh, this is who I'm with. As far as we know, though, they're still together. So here's my thinking. If he allegedly only discovered this stuff now and is staying with them, then I don't think he only just discovered it. I think he was well aware and has endorsed it. Yes, Deja's amazing.
So, like, now that we've hit that point, that brings us to what caused that mask to slip. Miss Tati Westboro Baptist Church.
Miss Church. I don't know.
So, my favorite thing about all of that, because that's the most recent point that we're at, was really, I really liked that, because I was that asshole who said something, you know, ageist, because I am 40 years old, so it was like, you grown, you should know better, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, you know what, I am being ageist, because just because I will know better on some things doesn't mean everybody should, you know, but I really like that he took that out, and the sexism and was like, no, but I love how he actually analyzed and looked at the video, because when he starts talking about, like, the 2 minutes of unedited crying left in the video, I was like, bruh.
Yeah. I did really like that he led the video with, we're not doing this ageism thing, we're not doing this sexism thing, because I know we've talked about this, and I did feel a little bit, I definitely did have some feelings that were like, she should know better. But when he went into, like, because here's the thing is that it was broken up enough, the 2 minutes of crying, it was broken up enough in between different phrases and things that, like, I also think I watched it, but I think I watched it at, like, 1.75 speed. Like, I watched it, like, almost as fast as I could. So I didn't
literally got, like, a
all of
minute
that.
in, and my ADD was not having it. As soon as she
Uh,
started like, I was like, bye. And I was just, then there were other people who gave Cliff's notes. So I was like, perfect.
yeah.
Um,
Um, but yeah, I was like, I didn't even like. I could tell that there was more crying in there than I would have preferred. But 2 minutes, I was like, oh shit, that's a lot of time.
yeah.
If you watch a cry like 2 minutes of crying straight through, it's kind of torturous.
Yes. It makes you feel like, can somebody get them something to eat? Like, um,
Yeah,
but what really struck me about watching her whole like him do her whole arc of the thing is it makes me think about something you and I have said multiple times, which is how important it is to have YouTube friends. And I know
mm-hmm.
like this is like obviously like the only part that really wasn't touched on
Mm-hmm.
was how much Tati had been left out of the beauty community because she just minded her business, right? But like also she was not part of any of the cliques. She wasn't part of any of the crews. She really didn't seem to be like hanging in the circles. And it's like, and I get why though, right? Because Tati is older than a lot
Yeah,
of the ones that started coming up, right? So you can kind of see how she would like buy into or listen to what Jeffree had to say because he has like this younger audience, the younger crowd, and she hadn't been making friends like this, like or as far as I could tell from what I can
yeah.
see. But she didn't really be making friends like that. She doesn't have YouTube friends. She doesn't have a YouTube crew. She like if you watch her channel, the people that she has on there are like creepy Scott Barnes, and so like
Yeah.
she has these people on.
But here's the thing too, is that I think it's very clearly a money power thing. It's not
Mhm.
just that he has the younger fan base. He has the biggest one of the biggest channels, all of the money, has the cosmetic line. So I do think there's a huge gap in her friendship and
Yeah,
her community. But I also think this kind of ties into what T is saying. T said, sorry, not sorry. I still don't think Tati, I love how you say Tati's name, should know
Tati.
and do better. I think there's a difference between ageism and expecting an appropriate level of maturity, and I will die on that hill.
I
My
agree.
my criticism is that she should have known better than to start that relationship.
Yes.
And whether or not you have YouTube friends, if you cared about being associated with terrible people, you should be able to see that he's a terrible person.
Yeah, I'm like, climb down off of your high horse and come see some of us old bitches down here. Like, I'm just
Yeah,
saying, we would have been nice to you. Like, you
yeah.
literally could have come down to the small beauty community and started hanging out
But
because
even
we're a lot of us are around the same age. Like, there's a lot of us in the small beauty community that are 33, 34, 35,
yeah,
36, 40, 50. Like, there's like, because there's this is the only space for us. Like, we're
yeah,
not, you can't be old for now. You can't be old in the
yeah.
beauty community. So she has this opportunity and she just didn't take it. She just like, who eats a lemon?
Well, and that's the thing is so like, she had this feeling of wanting to fit in, wanting to find some friends or be a part of the cool circle because obviously she probably had experiences of ageism. And honestly, being 40 something and hanging out with 20 somethings is fucking weird. It just feels
Yes.
weird. I do have like I'm
It
35.
is weird.
I have some friends that are even 10 years younger than me. That's right about the edge, right about, and we're not like hanging out in real life friends. We're mostly internet friends. But I think it is weird. So for somebody like Tati, unfortunately, being in the YouTube space is going to be lonesome, period. Like I
I
think that's just
know.
what it is. But I think there's a similarity between her and Jeffree in terms of not being able to really have friends in the community, both for the size of your channel and your age within the community. But he is able to like cycle through friends. I don't think she really. Well, I'm making assumption she didn't really want to do that, but she still wanted to be in the cool kids group. And so coming down to the smaller creators doesn't keep her in the cool kids group.
Or she creates her own cool kids. It's both. He's a master manipulator, and people are stupid because, and people want to believe what they want to believe because that, like, I started crying a little bit. I'm so sorry because, like, that reminded me that comment where the lion and just
Oh yeah,
me. That's how I felt about somebody. I was like, well, they're an asshole, but they're nice to me.
yeah,
They were always an asshole. Like they were always an asshole. And when that assholery got directed in my direction, like got pushed at me, and it was like, yeah. But there's this. I think a lot of people have a belief where it's not even just that the situation is working out. Sometimes, I will say, sometimes people feel backed into a corner.
yeah,
And I do think that there is a part of the situation where I think that Tati very much felt backed into a corner, especially when she dropped her video and then they just fucking scattered like roaches and left her.
yeah,
And I think that there was a point where she's just sitting there like, holy shit. And now she's like putting all of these pieces together, being like, I did all of this stuff. I did all of this.
yeah,
I completely fucked up and did this and this. I fucked over this kid. I've done this. I've done all of this for my own gain, which she still hasn't apologized for, by the way, and she hasn't apologized
yeah.
properly. And to what avail? And like it came, the blowback was swift and it was harsh because I don't think Jeffree or Shane expected because Jeffrey had always been successful. Mark that too. This is the one time, and everything's gone downhill since this went down for him, that he was not successful in a takedown.
But he kind of, so I mean, this is an example of the patriarchy at work in that of these three people, like, okay, yes, Shane Dolphin is has had a lot of repercussions, but the reaction to Tati compared to the reaction to Jeffree, like as fucked up as Tati is, and how I think she is manipulative and also fell for being manipulated, I think the reaction to what she did compared to the reaction of everything Jeffree did doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
he continually gets away with these things with only small repercussions where she had, according to her, allegedly had YouTube ask her to take down a video. How many lies has Jeffree said publicly on a video
yeah.
and never got asked to take down a video? Yeah.
Correct.
But yeah, she didn't believe her own self-worth. I do think that she wanted to be a part of the cool kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the fact that like she made a really wrong first step by trusting and connecting at all with Jeffree. Everything that happened after that, I feel like it's like she was like, well, fuck it, I'm already. It kind of feels like, I don't think she actually thought this, but it was like, I'm already here. Like, and so you kind of like start trusting this person for no reason.
Well, it reminds me of that like TikTok sound where he's like, take my hand. And like he does that,
Yeah,
and she takes his hand and he's like, oh, you're ready. Oh, you're ready.
exactly.
And she was like, oh shit, I'm not ready for this. Because, and again, I think that as YouTube started changing and all that, I think that we do judge women way too damn hard. Not saying that we shouldn't. Bye, Katie Cat.
Oh, bye, Katie.
But I think that like I wouldn't have been in this situation because I don't fuck with people like that. Like I can't do it. And honestly, I'm an actual witchy person. I'm an actual empath. I could not be around all that black, dark, nasty, like dirty energy. I can't be around it. There are places I don't go because people have that kind of energy. Like that's how I can decide whether or not I can even sit in the bar is by the energy that people are putting out to me. And if it's like generally all right energy, then I'm good. It does lead to people telling me weird stories that I didn't ask for. But
it happens.
I can understand falling into a situation where you're looking around and because like think about it this way. You're Tati. You're sitting in your grand studio with all of your PR and your fancy lighting and your filters. The skin's looking fabulous and you're just gorgeous and wonderful. But you know who's not hanging out with you? The fucking Kardashians, Paris Hilton. All the famous bitches are hanging out with all these other people. Who are you? Fucking Tati. But like, she's not, you know? Like, you look around and then somebody comes and says, like, hey, I can get you, you know, into the VIP lounge. And suddenly it's not that bad. You're like, well, maybe I can put up with some. And I think that also there's probably a part of her that thought that she could keep the situation under control.
Yeah.
Because you can hear it in the things that she says in that video. She's like, I thought that I could help. I'm like, saying, talk. That's not really, like, to me, underlying that was, I thought I could keep the situation under control. That's what I heard.
Well, I think, and I had noticed it, but I liked how D'Angelo articulated like the religious part of her video, talking about all of that. And I feel like in some way she felt like she was trying, like it was like she wanted to do that for Jeffree. She wanted to save Jeffree, when in reality, like Jeffree pulled her down into the hellmouth.
I always forget that you're here, Isabel, and I feel like such an idiot every time I do this and you're like, you're here. I'm like, oh shit.
But yeah, like I just think that like but to me that's also a toxic mindset to be in. Like, just to be a kind of person that's like, I can save this other person.
Yes.
That is the wrong first step. Your very first step in this is wrong. Don't date somebody because you want to change them. Don't become friends with somebody because you want to save them. It's not going to work.
Yes.
Wherever they are in their life, in their mental state, is probably stronger than where you are. And worst case scenario, you will be drugged down into that state. Or second worst case scenario, you will waste a whole fuck ton of time and have regrets and have to like separate yourself from that relationship. So
there's a whole song called Savior from Rise Against. Like, listen to that song. That'll tell you.
So it's interesting thinking about Tati, because it's like I understand where she could be mentally in terms of wanting more friends, wanting more connections. But I can't, like, and so like I understand how that can happen. At the same time, trying to be a savior, also like becoming friends with an out and out racist, right in the midst of him calling calling Jackie. Was that when he called her a rat? Like the day that they met up, or the day after? The day before,
she was getting on a
the
plane
day
with him or some shit.
Like she met up with Jeffree the day after, I think, or maybe the same day that he said that shit. So she was very much aware of his behaviors.
Yeah,
so
she
that's
had a
why,
video going up with him live or some shit. Like not live, but she had a video going up with him.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was like, oh, they met, but maybe they hadn't met yet. But yeah, it's just so
actually,
it's like
they do.
They shed, right?
Yeah, they shed. You have
Yeah.
to, but tiger stripes don't change.
Exactly. Like, so yeah, don't try to save a racist. So that's why, like, a lot of the intense judgment of Tati, I understand, because I think where she started from, she was all kinds of wrong.
And I also think that, like, there was, when you do save somebody, right, there's something for you.
Exactly.
You know, like there's an award for you. Like, people are like, oh my God, you turned them into a nice person. You're like, I did it. I did it, everyone.
Exactly.
Jeffree's nice now. You're welcome. You know what I mean? Like,
he hung out with me for a while, and now he's not being a racist piece of trash.
yeah.
Like, that's definitely a benefit. There's always, and actually, T said this, and it made me like. She said it a couple months back, I think, saying how like there are times when you will have a situation, something given to you, an opportunity given to you, where you kind of understand that opportunity is using you, but you also understand how you are using that opportunity, and you have to decide if what you're going to get out of using it is worth more than what the other person is. Oh, it's all good, babe. I didn't know either.
It's not even your fault. It's because I like reptiles. Like,
So I think Tati probably looked at it and was like, what I can gain out of this is bigger and better than what I can lose. And she
Yes.
gambled and she lost. But then there's the whole James part of it that also,
James is annoying, and he does get into mess, and he does like in all honesty, anything that he's done at this point is really just. I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't matter because that's not true either, but it's like this big in comparison
yeah.
to what everybody else has done.
But also like Tati with James. Like there's that whole other layer
That
of
was creepy.
Tati that's why I'm like, she's not an innocent party in this. Yeah, she could have been manipulated by Jeffree and Shane. I don't deny that can happen. But the relationship that she had with James and the way she talked about, because actually I think D'Angelo called that out too, where she would talk about like we didn't take a cut, we worked to get James better deals, and we didn't take any of the money, and
Yeah,
like
and that was so weird that she kept talking about that. You were like I remember that in the Bi Sister video, and I still remember thinking like, why are you still talking about this? Like that's weird shit.
yeah,
That you just
like
keep talking about money when because she wasn't even old. Like their relationship didn't make good sense. This is the other reason I started crying because like she's not even young. Like she wasn't even like there wasn't a good mom situation there. Like
yeah.
he would have to be significantly younger or her significantly like older. Like a few years needed to change between them. So it wasn't even like sisterly. There was something creepy about it, and the reason I found it upsetting was because like I was annoyed by having friends that were like 22 years old when I was
Mhm.
30. And I was like, I didn't want to be friends with them, but my partner did. And they were like, oh, let's hang out. I was like, I don't really want to hang out with these people. Like, I'm old and I don't really want to get like drunk like this and do all of this all the time. Like, they're going over to somebody's house and they're playing beer pong. Like, these are the kinds of things. So this is why I think it's weird because there isn't enough of an age gap to where your friendship makes
I mean,
sense.
I saw a bit of like a mentorship part of it, but the reality is that it didn't match up once I started thinking about it in terms of like what they're each doing. Like the kind of makeup that James is doing versus the kind of makeup that Tati's doing. If James had a mentor, not saying he is a drag queen, but if he had a mentor that was somebody like a RuPaul or like an older person that does that kind of makeup that's really over the top, really intense or whatever, I can kind of see that. Or if James did more of the makeup that you see some people do that's more natural, very, very like done, very much a lot of makeup, but you're not doing cut creases and like I just felt like it didn't even make sense in terms of stylistically. They're kind of like there's nothing that they could really share in that way. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
there isn't like
yeah,
listen, back in the day, you know, BP before the pandemic.
yeah,
Um going to the bar or the club when you would go and somebody would show up and they're like 20 like they just turned 21 like a month ago,
yeah,
and like and they're trying like they would be trying to hit on me and I'm like baby, I am almost 40 years old.
yeah.
Please get away from me. We have nothing in common. I don't even want to hit it and quit it because like this is just not like emotional maturity is different. I know what it was like to be at this age and it's like hard to keep all of your emotions intact and like no, like just go, but you're so pretty. No, I know, but like go. Like
Yeah.
I cannot imagine like I have no and even just like regular like drunk girls who are like, oh my god. I'm like, no, please. Like I cannot keep this energy. I can't match this annoying energy. Like you're really annoying
Yeah.
is the thing. And James is annoying. I'm so sorry. Like I'm old. Like I get how
Well,
young people like him, but I am old and he is annoying because like I can't.
yeah. Well, and here's the other thing is that I also think of this as like, okay, so they were like, oh, she's a mother figure. James has a mom, according to what I heard when following this drama. Also, men. this kind of goes into like having young men on. So I don't I don't know actually who that's if that's talking about Tati, but Cleub Cleewub. But somebody like Tati
It's
being a
cute.
mentor to a young woman entering the beauty space, that I get, because Tati, because one, it connects Tati to possibly the younger beauty community. It possibly lets Tati give her perspective to somebody that's a younger woman in terms of like, this might be what you face. Here are mistakes I've made. Here are ways to avoid those mistakes. Like, if she was really like hunting out a mentorship relationship, I truly don't understand picking a boy in beauty. Besides the fact that she saw the trends, she saw his possibilities and his popularity, and saw dollar signs in her eyes.
Well, be young. There's nothing wrong with being
Nothing
young.
wrong with being young.
The real problem, like it just it does it is an awkward relationship to say the least. And the fact that D'Angelo really pointed out that like all of this stemmed from vitamins, but the other thing he pointed out
Yeah.
was that he had talked about her shit.
And see, I didn't realize that either.
I
I
didn't
thought
either because I just believed her saying that he didn't give a shit about her vitamins, and yet like there's footage of him being like, "Brr, brr, 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 brr."
I thought he
My
had
friend,
specifically said, I'm not going to talk, I'm not going to do it at all.
yeah, but then he would be talking about like Tati's brand, like he would say something about her coming out with her vitamins.
I think it was more of like he never endorsed it.
Yeah, but he still talked about it. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
he still talked. Like, she made it seem like he did not give a fuck about her coming out with her vitamins. Like, she made it seem like he didn't care about her business venture. And here's the thing: as much as I don't like annoying James because he's annoying,
Yeah.
And I can't never say like I swear I'm just always gonna say James Charles, he's annoying. Like that's gonna be my thing.
That's fine.
But he was right though in this because you don't mix business and
Yeah.
friendship. You really just don't.
Also, Empress Puba, so it said, unpopular opinion here, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a friendship with someone older or younger than you. I've always had both, and it gives me more perspective on life. I'm not saying there's something wrong. I'm saying that it often doesn't, not necessarily with older, because I think people are just at different spaces, but I think with vastly younger, when there's like age gap and that level of extreme, and you're at different points in your life and all of that, it can feel weird. I thought it was weird because to me, I honestly felt like she saw a young and up and coming person who was possibly going to become super popular, or maybe they were already super popular. But yeah, I think it's that that's the thing, Stevie. There, it's like I felt like Tati wanted to change and help James, help him be less annoying, less loud, less brash. I do think that. I think she
Yeah.
thought I can train him. I can nip him in so that he's more, like acceptable in a way,
And you
more.
hear that in the Bye Sister video. You
But
actually hear her saying basically what she's talking about. And I thought, he was doing things that were inappropriate, and I thought that I
exactly.
could. And I'm like, it boils right back down again to like, y'all really be keeping secrets about how fucked up people are up until you
Yeah,
need it. Like, what's wrong with y'all? I will be right back. I'm so sorry.
that's okay.
Because I hear him.
And what I was going to say is that with that whole mindset of wanting to change and like make James more, I guess, palatable, I think that was like, not only is that perspective fucked up, but I think she made a mistake because she did not realize that men can do whatever they want. So a man in beauty can act like the way James Charles acts and be successful. A woman in beauty cannot do that, or is not always as capable of doing that and being successful. So she picked a target but was completely off in her aim, because I think if she had like picked a loud, brash young woman, it still would have been fucked up. As Kelly says, molding is always unhealthy in a relationship. But at the same time, like, she just made the wrong choice. And he has parents. According to what I've heard, he has parents. You can disagree with how a parent is raising their child. You can think that they're all yes people and not giving him enough boundaries or giving him enough, like, push to improve in different ways, but they're still parents. So saying you want to be a parent is saying, well, your mom or your dad is not doing good enough. You can be an additional, like, adult in this person's life, but you're not their parent. Yeah, it does feel like grooming in a predatory way, and I think because I saw her become friends with Jeffree, and I could tell it was partially self-esteem and all of that, but in my opinion, it was also partially for clout, for money, for fame. I think she saw that with James and thought, I can jump into this. Maybe they connected in a way, and she thought, okay, this is it. This is my ticket. This is the way I, like, rocket up into the industry even more. At the same time, I will assist this person. I'll help them get more money or whatever it might be. Yeah, overestimating one's own worth on top of thinking you're going to mold someone significantly younger is red flag city. I agree.
Sorry about that. I had to take
That's
care
okay.
of my son.
So I had just mentioned how I felt like this, how this isn't totally related, but I just want to catch you up. With Tati, I feel like she saw James and she saw, like, somebody that she could mold and create, but she totally missed the mark because he is a man in beauty. Men can do whatever the fuck they want and be successful.
Correct.
She thought, oh, you can't really do that and have long-term success. You can't do that and have, like, respect. You can't do that because she's a woman, looking at it like as if this gay man was a woman. Whether or not, like, whatever else happened after that, I feel like she saw it that way, and it's like, oh, you missed the mark. Like,
That's a bigger issue though, because I feel like a lot of women look at gay men like women, and in a lot of minority communities that happens quite often. They just go, I'm just going to think of him as a girl, and then it doesn't bother me that he's gay.
Yeah.
And this is why you will see, and not saying like gay men can't be feminine, but this is a big reason why you will see a lot of, like, minority gay men playing more into a feminine stereotype in public and with their families, because that's easier for them to digest than it is in their regular everyday life. So
Very clearly white men. I like the FFFF as a graphic design person. I like the color code, the hex code. I do think that that's fair, because I was saying, like, you know, she's not his parent, and, like, trying to become his parent is pretty fucked up while he still has parents. I didn't remember that his mom
yeah,
did ask her to watch over him, but I
she
still
didn't
think
ask him to be his mom. She
there's a
said, watch
difference.
over him. He's in LA. She just
Exactly.
wanted somebody to be able to, like, be watching over her son while he's in LA doing LA
Yeah.
things, and, like, just making sure he's not getting into trouble. She wasn't like, oh, be his mom. She was like, just look out for him.
Yeah.
So she took that to, like, a weird extreme. It was like, I'm supposed to look out for him. And you're like, yeah, but you're doing a terrible job. Like, you've been letting him get away with this behavior, and you're just sitting here being like, well, no, we had all these private conversations. I'm like, okay, but, like, if it wasn't working, then why didn't you just disassociate with him then, instead of making a whole ass public YouTube video to embarrass him?
Yeah.
Because that's what you did. You were mad, you were feeling spiteful, and you made a video to embarrass him.
And
And you
it's
thought
the
he wasn't
same
going to say
savior
anything.
thing. She
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to be his mom. I'm going to try to make him better. Not realizing that probably not even his own mother can make him better. He's kind of a piece of trash. Like,
Yeah.
that's just what he is. And he has all this. But I also can't imagine being 19 and having that level of success and money and power. I'd
Thank
probably
you.
be a piece of trash too.
Thank you. And I'm pretty sure I was a fairly good piece of trash in my 19, 20. Like, I wasn't a great person. I was doing dumb shit.
And if an adult friend in my life had been like, hey, why are you flirting with that straight guy or whatever, especially again at his level, I would have been like, leave
Because
me
I can't.
alone. Like,
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, and I'm not saying what he did is right. I mean, that
yeah,
is absolutely not
exactly.
it.
I
What
don't
I'm
know
saying,
what he did. I'm not
yeah.
condoning any of that,
I'm
but
just saying, imagine you have a power dynamic. It's the same way that older men can, snap up, the older rich men can snap up a younger woman because there's a power dynamic there. They have the money and they have the shit, and then it makes it more difficult for her to be like, I don't really like you and I want to leave, but like I can't because like I'm used to all this money and it's very difficult. So like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So it's just imagine being a 19-year-old millionaire. Like you are the millionaire, not your family, not your parents. You make that money and you get to decide what you're going to do with it. You're basically running, because you are your brand, you are your business, so you're running your own brand, your own business. You're controlling all of the stuff about who you are. It's very difficult to have a level head, and you're going to surround yourself, especially at that age, you're definitely going to surround yourself with only people who are going to tell you that you're great. You're not going to surround yourself with anybody who's going to tell you what to do. Come on now. You just
yeah.
escaped your home. You moved to LA as an adult. You just escaped. The last thing you want to do is have another mother.
Yeah.
Like that's
And and I mean, like, sexuality is complicated. Who you flirt with, who you're attracted to, can be complicated. Here's the thing: is that choosing to make a long video talking about, like she said, sit down, like Data said, off with your head, like trying to put it all out there and like ruin him. You let these two people manipulate you into making a big, sweeping public statement when there was no proof.
she had no actual proof. She was like,
or
I was just
or she
believing the
didn't
things
have,
that they told
yeah,
me.
she didn't have proof to share in the video. If she
Yeah.
had heard some voice notes or whatever, that's one thing. Hey, try to talk to that person, try to go to the police, do things like that. But you can't just sit. But again, this goes into feeling like everyone believes me, I'm this trusted white woman, I'm just going to say these things and people are going to believe me. And then James came through and was like, no the fuck, we're not doing this. And so then the fact that she framed it out as, I was manipulated, I only made it because of them, all of this. And I'm like, you made it because you wanted to hear yourself talk.
And this humbling mentality is disgusting.
Yes.
And I will say this for
Yeah.
anytime, anybody, it is not your job to humble someone, especially publicly. Like, listen, there are so many things in my life where other people have publicly humiliated me.
Yeah.
I could have, I had the option to say something or say my piece and do, and I chose none of that. I was like, you know what? If that's who you are as a person, I see that now. I'm going to, take this right turn and go on about my business, and I'm not going to acknowledge you. But the worst thing about it is when you connect all three of the D'Angelo videos, you realize that in all of these situations and all the various drama things that have happened, nobody has produced a shred of proof of anything this entire time, which is why it's going to happen again.
The only proof we have is that Shane Dawson is into ambrosia and
Yes,
Jeffree Star is a racist.
correct.
That's the proof. Well, and I think he's kind of a predator. He's an alleged predator protector based on footage I've seen.
Thank you.
But her trying to humble James Charles, Shane trying to humble this person. Again, you have no proof to reveal. Why are you so set on taking this person down who's obviously like, you know, a possible concern for your monetary gain? I think that's why Jeffree cared, that's why Tati cared, that's why Shane cared, because James is there taking over the industry in a way. And they were all worried and fearful of losing their spot. You're older. It's going to happen. That shit's going to happen. Take your money, live your life. Like,
It wasn't just Tati that didn't know that.
yeah,
Neither did Jalopy's Staircase.
yeah,
And this is the thing. This whole debacle,
this.
this really exposed Jalopy's Staircase as not actually having receipts for shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest thing that I think that's come out of this is that because remember we've had issues with him come up before and like literally no one wanted to produce any receipts, right? And then like David Scissorhands had some receipts and we all dismissed them because David Scissorhands was sketchy. But
Yeah,
like, like he was just a sketchy dude, but we don't know to this day. Like maybe he was telling the truth, but he's just sketchy. But like,
yeah,
I think that all of this exposed and has, in my eyes, has actually ruined J Star as a villainous powerhouse. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult because now people started coming out of the woodwork being like, blah, 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 and talking about all the stuff that
yeah,
he did without repercussion because they realized when they saw all this shit go down, right? And then James Charles came and said, "What's up? No more lies. This is what's happened." And then Jalopy Staircase had no rebuttal, no receipts, no real shit. They
okay.
were like,
This also goes to Tati's video. Tati took a chunk of time at the end talking about, and when more things start coming out, like just trust the people that you follow. Like in my opinion, it was saying, I still think that Jeffree has receipts. I'm going to get revealed in those receipts. So I am one of those people that you should forgive just ahead of the time. Go ahead and forgive me. But here's the thing is that she believed that lie so strongly, or maybe his receipts are fake as fuck and she didn't take time to actually look at them. And then nothing has come out.
not a damn thing.
Months, nothing has come out.
You know why? Because he can't expose anybody without exposing himself. That's why.
Exactly.
Like any text communication that he'd have to like reveal would also reveal his side of the story.
Yeah.
Because like, listen, I do this all the time with one of my bestest friends here. Her name's Trista. We regularly talk in screenshots. We're like, oh my god, girl, let me tell you what happened, and just send like 12 screenshots
Yeah.
of a story. So she sees what I said, and she knows what the other person said. So knowing that, like, yes, you can manipulate them, but the problem is if you manipulate them, the other person still also has the originals. So it's going to cast doubt whether people believe you or not. It's going to cast doubt. So at the end of the day, this has ruined Jalopy Staircase as the villainous powerhouse everybody thought he was. Where are his lawyers? Fucking nowhere. Where are his receipts? Oh, those also don't exist. He has no receipts. He has nothing. He has nothing really on anybody that isn't going to expose him as well. So he ain't going to do shit.
Yeah.
He's never going to do anything to any of these people. Like, everybody just needs to like, that's why everybody started coming forward and telling this, because look, nothing happened to any of them. All these people came forward talking about how Jeffree Star used them, how they were basically like, minstrel dancers for him. What happened to them? Nothing.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have shit on anybody. He does not care. He has been exposed as just being just the fakest of all the fakes. And when you put all of those things together, you start going, he literally has nothing. Like, why were we all thinking that he was the boogeyman and he just really wasn't, the straw man?
Because he had the money and the power to convince us. But oh, Jimmy
Kyle.
too. That's a good one. Which, James called his bluff and he folded. And I think here's the thing with David Scissorhands is that all the drama channels were like, oh, he's being sketchy. Oh, he's not wanting to reveal it until he gets a certain number of subscribers. Oh, this or that or that.
That was a bad move. That was a bad move on his part to be like, I need more subscribers to reveal it. But now I'm like, I think he really did have like real shit.
But I also think that revealing Jeffree Star is cutting off a certain like layer of money for you. So I can understand in a moment of despair being like, I need a certain number of subscribers to show this part and then this part and then this part. And then the drama channels are like, look at this bullshit, and like they embedded the like this trust, and then everyone's like, he's a fucking liar, he's lying, he just wants subscribers, all this shit. When the reality is, I think that he had actual like proof. Also, Tati, I just looked it up, was a child actor.
Oh, good for her.
But that explains a lot. You have training from a young age of
Was
how
she
to.
an Anne of Green Gables? I don't know why I thought that.
She has an IMDb page.
What?
She was in Unsolved Mysteries, and then Greek.
Greek.
She was a Zeta Beta Zeta sorority girl in Greek.
I watched that show. I don't remember seeing Tati at all.
And then
like she was just a sorority girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was in 10 episodes.
Wait,
in 2007.
On.
But she wasn't a long-term child actor. She just did the one Unsolved Mystery show, unless there's other like plays or things she did.
No, if she was if she was a child, like Greek is a show about college girls. She wasn't a child.
No, that's what I mean. Like it's like she was a child when she was in Unsolved Mysteries. But well, no, not even a child, because according to IMDb, she was born in 82, and she was on Unsolved Mysteries at like 14. Okay, so she was a kid. Okay, in 96.
Wow, I thought she was 34, and she's actually 38. Okay.
Yeah, and then she was in Greek in 2007. So
she's uncredited. I don't really know. She was just an extra, basically.
But she was on for 10 episodes, so it feels like it's a little. I don't know. It feels like a little more than maybe it is just an extra.
Yeah, because
I found a picture.
IMDb doesn't write this shit. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people put their shit on here. She's just there. Yeah, no. She didn't say anything. She was just there. Maybe she said like, I can't find my keys, and then like that was the extent. I'm so sorry. I'm revealing myself right now. That's hella embarrassing. We're gonna move on. I really liked that show. It was a terrible show, and I never watched it. I don't know. Like, I think it was because I was watching. Like, I was streaming, and Greek was on there, and I just watched that. Yes, The Matrix.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, she might have done like theater and things like that. So I don't know. I don't know how much of it is actually like important. But
here I'm getting a link. I'm like, let me get that.
Oh wait, I actually just got it.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. I felt all techie for a second.
You're techie.
And you're just like, you stole my little baby thunder.
Sorry.
I'm totally kidding.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that there is something about her. I just think the whole savior complex, the whole like trying to make people better as an excuse for basically trying to build clout and make money. Like that's what I think it boils down to. But I think you're right about like, I think it's going to happen again. I think there's going to be people even if it's not just in the beauty community, but in these online spaces that are going to be able to convince people of things without having any proof.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
There's a certain level of charm or of mystique or whatever when it comes to people that makes other people believe you.
See that.
That's hilarious.
That I'm dead. I gotta snatch my soul back in. Like, no. Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. Like a lot, because IMDb, a lot of this stuff is also it's a lot like Wikipedia in that sense. Like IMDb, like if you have information, you could include it.
So Robin, I don't think it's that he doesn't have receipts. I think that he has receipts that reveal himself as bad as they reveal the other person. Correct. So he has receipts that he can't publicly share because it will reveal things about himself. And he doesn't need to. Good night, Courtney. He doesn't need to because he still has the power and the influence, at least right now, for people to believe him. Yes. But even if he dies out of popularity finally and retreats from his status as like the fake evil villain of the internet, somebody else will. Somebody else will.
Yeah.
Because people have been watching this for years. That's the thing, is he's setting a template. He's setting an example.
And at the end of it, D'Angelo really just pointed out everybody in these situations, for the most part, they're going to be fine. Like whether or not Shane makes another YouTube video doesn't matter. He's so fucking rich. He's gonna be fine. Whether Tati comes back, like she has her other company and like she has her shitty eyeshadow. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we forgot about it. She still has vitamins. She has her eyeshadow. You know,
she has those poofy things. Like she has that stuff going on. She doesn't have to come back. And Jalopy Staircase has people who will continue to buy his dirt.
Hey, Christine.
Hey. For me.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's an interesting thing to remember that just because if these people go away, that doesn't mean that people can't do the similar manipulation and like lying that they've done.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have to realize, as like kind of consumers and like people on the internet and people that obviously like talking about this kind of shit because y'all are here, like, are there ways that we can notice this sooner, call it out sooner? What can we do? I mean, there's not really actionable steps right now, but just like, how can we like lift the veil earlier?
Yes, because remember, the end of Mean Girls very much had them paying attention to other girls who try to come up and be mean girls, and shut that down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh. I like this. It's always bugging the crap out of me. The misuse of the apostrophe S is everywhere, and it's maddening. I saw this from T, and that's why I reacted, because he responded, makes me trace my veins with a razor blade.
Night, Isabel.
Good night, Isabel. But yeah, exactly. Somebody else will assume the role of YouTube Gossip Girl. It's a circle of life.
Gossip Girl here.
XOXO. That's true. Dion says me and Sharita people like Sharita have been calling it out since 2017, but no one cared.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of our live streams, the point in the end is, hey everybody, fucking listen to Black people. Like, just honestly, a lot of this shit, if people listen to Black people more often,
powerful white men don't go to jail.
Yep. And I think somebody else earlier had mentioned or asked about why talking about D'Angelo and college. We did talk a little bit about it at the beginning, that he went to college at 15. He's just incredibly intelligent, it seems like.
Avery, yes. Dan Humphrey did turn out to be the actual Gossip Girl, which was like the letdown of the whole show. Why does my head look so tiny? Yeah. Like me, I have broad shoulders and like my little pea head. It's just like,
yeah. The payroll is I still think it's strong. I still think he probably has people in his books. I think he's probably reaching out to the smaller, newer drama people. But yeah, I think that was. Oh well, yeah. Onion Boy, aka Onision, should also be in jail.
Yeah.
Stevie, but I
don't think it's a before thing. I think they just both need to go. Yeah. But the problem is, like, you have to prove certain things, and it just things under the veil of entertainment.
And I can understand not wanting to come out if you are a victim. Like that's the hard part too, is I feel like a lot of the conversations about like James and even Shane and Onion Boy, it's all like, well, people need to, and it's like, no, no one needs to.
And you have to get around also age of consent in varying states.
Exactly. And people actually believing you, even when they're asking for people to come forward. So, yeah. Oh, I'm totally about cancel culture. I think is misused. Accountability culture is definitely. Here's the thing, though, is that people are going to feel like a victim no matter what. They're going to play
Yes.
the victim card, and depending on the level of power they have, um, they will just be able to get away with it. So, I guess unless there's anything else y'all want us to talk about, that's everything. Good night, Stevie. Thank you for
Good
hanging
night.
around.
Don't worry, I have to go take the monster out for his
Yes.
last truck.
But yeah, if you just to say, if you haven't seen D'Angelo's videos, it's worth a watch. I know it's like
Yes.
3+ hours, but it's good. The quality in the last video, he stepped it way up. Somebody else mentioned that in chat. Like he went from
Yes.
like looking good to like, oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense. You have 1 million subscribers now. Okay.
And it was like, ah. That's the only way that I could say. I loved Robert
I don't know.
Stack.
I don't know who sued who. But we're gonna go because Bo needs his walk, and I know with the storms and all, it's tricky.
Yes,
Um,
I have to. Not today, Alex.
yeah, there's no wind down stream today. We'll probably do one sometime next week, one of the 2 days. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday. It'll be on Audra's channel.